Welcome back to Black Cat Crypto Club. My name is Drake. Yesterday in my video on the SEC and Coinbase, I quickly kind of mentioned a short squeeze that was setting up. And I woke up this morning, got on some news things, heard more about more of a short squeeze. And, everywhere I've been looking, I've just been seeing little echoes of this. So it's not just me that's seeing a short squeeze coming here, guys. And yesterday we also had Larry Fink on national television talking about Bitcoin. So we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, as always, if you have a few dollars, it is very much appreciated if you go over and help these needy animals at ezsrescueranch. We've only got a few more days that we're spotlighting these guys, and then we will be on to a different sanctuary next month. So if you have a few bucks, please go over and show these guys some love. The PayPal is at the bottom of this flyer, and I always leave that information in the description of the video. So go down there, go over to Easy's and show them some love. Now, let's just jump right into it. Over here on Twitter, we've got the Kobayashi letter. The Kobayashi letter, whenever I hear that or whenever I see it, I always think of Kobayashi and Kaiser Soze. If you guys know what movie that's from, let me know in the comments. It's a classic. It's quite old now, which makes me old. But yeah, if you know what movie that's from, let me know. I'd like to connect with you fellow fans. It was one of my favorite videos clear back in my college days. So anyways, we've got the Kobayashi letter, and it says Bitcoin is silently up 10,000 over the last 7 days, and it has barely made any headlines. After falling into 60,000, a higher low formed and a massive short squeeze began. Now Bitcoin is just 4% away from making a fresh all-time high. Since October 23rd or 2023, crypto markets, he goes kind of on and saying that it's grown 1.7 trillion in market cap, and it's basically up massively over the last 5 straight months. But you can kind of look at this chart. This is just the last 7 days, guys. We've just been on this upward trajectory, and even me, I've been watching the charts, and it really hasn't felt like a $10,000 climb over the last 7 days. So yeah, there's not a lot of news covering this quick jump up in the last week, but it's definitely happened. Now, scrolling down, here's another one that I saw, and in my video yesterday, I was saying there was $3 billion worth of shorts about to be liquidated once we hit 75,000. So this is kind of a visual representation of that. You can just see this heavy short selling right here, just below 75,000. Once we bust up above that, those shorts get liquidated, and they basically have to buy Bitcoin, and it just shoots that up. Now, this guy, the Bitcoin therapist, he is saying an estimated 20 billion in liquidations under 75,000 could send Bitcoin through the short squeeze of the century. Now, I don't know, the data that I was looking at was a lot lower than that, but if I was missing something and this is 20 billion in shorts, maybe I was just looking at one market worth of data. But if it's 20 billion that is going to be liquidated at 75,000, that's going to send us much higher. And I was kind of saying, 80,000, but we've got another post down here This is Kevin Svensson. He's a chart analyst, but he's saying Bitcoin trapped liquidity short squeeze setup. 87,500 is the next technical target for the weekly chart if we break out. So let's just listen to what he says in this quick video.
That is the trapped liquidity short squeeze target for this weekly candle. This is the target candle. And according to the textbook, when your EMA is up above a 45-degree angle and you have a rejection candle within a trending market, if the price gets above that wick high, it translates to 1 to 1.5, which lands you at 87,500. That is
Okay, so that wick up that he's talking about is our high, which was right below 75,000 again. So that $75,000 mark is kind of the target for getting those shorts all liquidated. So just interesting. Now we had Larry Fink on national television again, talking very, very positively about Bitcoin. Obviously, he's in the game now. You know, him and Blackrock own the biggest, well, not the biggest, but the fastest growing Bitcoin ETF. The biggest still belongs to Grayscale, but they have been selling nonstop since January 11th when it became an ETF, because they were a bunch of dummies and left their rates way higher than all of the competition. So they are just losing. But Larry Fink was on national television yesterday talking about Bitcoin, talking about the ETFs, and talking about Ethereum. So I want you guys to listen in to this clip that he was on one of the talk host shows on one of national news stations. So listen into this.
Look, I'm very bullish on the long-term viability of Bitcoin.
I was going to say, did that surprise you?
That surprised me how much that's gone up. I mean, look, it is. We're creating now a market that has more liquidity, more transparency, and I'm pleasantly surprised, and I would never have predicted it before we filed it, that we were going to see this type of retail demand.
So you thought you'd do good, but not this good.
I thought, yes. Yes.
Well, IBIT is your ETF over at iShares.
Yes.
It's about to overtake Grayscale, which was in the business certainly a lot longer. You look at the gains since January 11th when it first came about.
Yes.
Have you ever seen this much inflow this quickly into
IBIT is the fastest growing ETF in the history of ETFs. Nothing has gained assets as fast as IBIT in the history of ETFs.
So Ether is next with an ETF?
We'll see. That's under registration.
Okay, so let's just not talk about your product.
Right.
Talk about Ether. The SEC, there's lots of noise about them declaring Ether a security, which would take it out of the Bitcoin category as a commodity. How does that translate into an ETF?
I don't think that, look, and I really can't talk about it, but I don't think that designation is going to be that deterious to.
So yeah, you see him say three things there that are interesting to me. One is that he wasn't expecting Bitcoin and these ETFs, and he says retail. So I think we've never heard BlackRock say who's buying their ETFs, but he kind of slipped there and said retail. So guys, you got to know that all of these ETF providers are actually out touring institutions and educating institutions right now. So we haven't even begun to see institutions and big money come into these ETFs yet. It's just mainly retail, which are basically me and you, people that are just everyday people that are getting into these Bitcoin ETFs now. And it's just been massive. And he says that he's surprised. He never thought it would perform like this. And I kind of agree in a way, but I can, Bitcoin surprises people, guys. So it doesn't surprise me in a way. But, you know, back when we were talking about these ETFs being approved, before they were even approved, to me, it was a big wild card. And it still is in a lot of ways. Like, I didn't know, you know, I knew it was going to be a positive thing, but just how positive, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how well Wall Street was going to react to these new ETFs. And it's just been off the chain. You know, the second thing he says there is that it is the best performing ETF in history. And we can look, I've said this over and over, and we could look at charts and everything, and you know, that's all boring, but to hear the top asset manager in the world say that it is the best performing ETF of all time goes a long ways. So that's interesting. It's also interesting to see him talking about Ethereum and the SEC going after the Ethereum Foundation. And they haven't really come out blatantly and said that Ethereum is a security. They've come out and said that it isn't in the past, but now with this whole thing, it just seems like they think it's under their purview now, and which would mean it's a security. But it's interesting to see Larry Fink, and he doesn't really seem too concerned, and neither am I, for that matter. It's the same old tactics with the SEC. They've just been on one, and they keep losing. So I don't know what their game plan is. I kind of think I have three theories. One, that it's just the normal SEC crap, that they're just trying to, you know, go after anybody and everybody that they possibly can in crypto. The other is that they're putting up a front for the senators that Gary Gensler kind of seems to be answering to. And there's one senator in particular and her anti-crypto army, and they're very pro, they want a central bank digital currency, which I need to get to a video about central bank digital currencies, because if you want to talk about Big Brother and totalitarian states, a CBDC is absolutely one of the most totalitarian things our government could do. But the senator is very pro central bank digital currency, and therefore very anti-Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is for freedom. Bitcoin is something that helps the people. Central bank digital currencies are kind of the opposite of that. It's the evil counterpart of Bitcoin. It's complete control at every transaction from the government. So I don't know. Going back, it's kind of my second theory is that the SEC is putting on a show for these senators and people that they're answering to, that they're going to be like, well, we tried, but you know, we couldn't do anything. And so maybe it's just all a show. The third, and this gets a little bit even more conspiracy theory-ish, and I don't know how much I believe this, but it honestly wouldn't surprise me. And that is that BlackRock, having more power and being the bigger dog than the SEC, is kind of in cahoots with the SEC. And they're saying, we want you to go after Ethereum, create some fear, uncertainty, and doubt, spread that FUD around, and make everybody afraid of Ethereum. So we can get that ETF and buy in while it's cheap. So I don't know, guys. I don't know how much I really believe that one, but it's an idea, and it wouldn't terribly surprise me if that's the case, honestly. But anyways, guys, in the thumbnail, I kind of had Darth Vader, you know, doing the short squeeze, and I've kind of equated Larry Fink to Darth Vader in the past, because guys, you got to remember, this channel is for the little guy. We're for the underdog, the alley cats, right? We aren't especially for the Larry Finks and the Blackrocks of the world. We're much more on the other aisle, the other side of the aisle of that. But it is, I kind of joke and I have fun with it that way, but it is nice to see that Larry Fink and some of these big players have been orange pilled, and they've come over to the rebel side and are actively fighting for something that's very much for the freedom and the empowerment of the people. So it is cool to see. I always equate Larry Fink and to the dark side and Darth Vader. And if you kind of think about it, guys, it's a little eerie. Like you remember in Star Wars where they defeat Darth Vader and they take off his helmet, and he's just this weak, fragile old white guy. Kind of fits. So, you know, it just kind of fits, and it's nice to see Larry Fink saying nice things, and it's good to see these ETFs doing so well. And, you know, it's going to help Bitcoin. It's going to help everybody. So I just like having fun with it. But definitely, if Darth Vader is going to do the Jedi, the Force choke thing, he's going to definitely be squeezing those shorts here soon. So guys, it's been a good video. Always remember to go over and help EZ's Rescue Ranch, help those animals out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.